Former Supreme Court Justice of the state of Alabama, Roy Moore, on the ropes. Is he the victim of a political witch hunt? You decide. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Welcome to the broadcast, friend. Judge Roy Moore is one of the most courageous, outspoken, clear-thinking on a legal level, philosophical level, theological level that I have ever met, that I have ever seen in my lifetime. And I have had, as you may know, the privilege of interviewing him in a sit-down, one-on-one interview that was 1 hour long. And if you want to go to our website, randallterry.com, and watch the entire interview, you can see for yourself what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't remember, this is the man who refused to remove the Ten Commandments from the state Supreme Court office, the Capitol in Alabama, in Montgomery, Alabama, the state capital, and then was impeached, removed as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court because he stood for the Ten Commandments. Then the people of the state of Alabama said, we like him. We believe what he believes, at least a good portion of them do. And they elected him a second time to the same office after he had been impeached, and he became once again the Chief Justice of the Alabama State Supreme Court. He was then removed a second time because he resisted so-called homosexual marriage after the Supreme Court's Obergefell decision, the godless, demonic decision, the judicial putsch, the coup of American governance, as former Justice Anton Scalia put it. He resisted it and encouraged the state lawmaker or state people who issue licenses to resist the opinion. And once again, he was impeached and removed from office a second time for standing for the laws of God. Now, a man like that is a threat to everyone. He is an embarrassment to everyone in the political arena who either A, does not believe what he believes, so it's either a threat or an embarrassment. Either I reject the laws of God, I embrace homosexual marriage, he's a threat to them, or he's an embarrassment to those who pay lip service to the Ten Commandments or to marriage or to the pro-life cause of stopping the murder of babies by abortion. He's an embarrassment to them because of what they don't do, because of what they don't say. He calls out their sins of omission. So Judge Moore is a threat to the openly rebellious to the commands of God, and he is an embarrassment to those who don't do more. Also known as the Republican establishment. Remember, it's the Republican establishment that pays lip service to the religious right, lip service to the pro-life cause. It's the Republican establishment who says that we should only have pro-life justices in Supreme Court, on the Supreme Court. But it's that same establishment that once they have power, either a majority of the House, the Senate, or both, that does not defund Planned Parenthood, that does not stop the seating of Sotomayor on the Supreme Court, or Kagan on the Supreme Court, both diehard supporters of homosexual marriage, of the murder of babies, crimes against God. So, a nightmare, a true nightmare for the open pagans and God haters and the charlatans, the hypocrites, those who pay lip service, the cowardly. A nightmare for them is to have Judge Roy Moore in the U.S. Senate, because he will confront the evildoers and he will expose the treacherous, the duplicitous, the hypocritical, the cowardly. Well, he's under attack now in a way that we've seen over and over again. I am going to take a quick break and we will discuss it when we come back. We need to pray for our brother. Don't go away.
Today, many so-called Christian intellectuals believe that the God of evolution used billions of years of death and destruction to evolve the bodies of the first human beings. Then, they simply declare the theory of evolution as fact to justify their unproven scientific fallacies. By the grace of God, more and more Catholics are rejecting this modern-day mythology in favor of the traditional doctrine of creation, as recorded by the Bible, and believed and taught by all the fathers and doctors of the Church. To find out how sound theology and natural science confirm the sacred history of Genesis, visit the Colby Center for the Study of Creation, and be sure to check out our bookstore, which has titles like I Have Spoken to You from Heaven, A Catholic Defense of Creation in 6 Days, and A Catholic Assessment of Evolutionary Theory. That's the Colby Center for the Study of Creation.
Desperate false allegations. That's what Judge Moore has said. I have given this much thought, and I am just not going to even repeat the allegations. You can go online, you can find them for yourself. They do not involve sexual activity, but they are in the genre of an adult male and girls who are between the age of 16 and 18 in the state of Alabama when it was in fact legal for an adult male to date them, according to what I've read, okay? So Judge Moore was on Sean Hannity. The different newspapers have picked this up. And he says, no, it's absolutely, positively not true. And if it was true, it would have come out, because these are allegations that are 40 years old, suddenly emerging 40-year-old allegations, okay? And I can promise you, some of it just doesn't pass the smell test. Doesn't pass the smell test. If you think of the allegations that came out against President Trump about some bizarre things, which I will also not discuss on the air, involving him and some of his staff when they were on a business trip to Russia. When you think about the false news and the false accusations, an entire dossier, an entire file it has been proven, page after page, to be completely fictitious. Just a flat out effort to destroy his presidential campaign. Go down the list. And then on the inverse side, when you consider the number of women who came forth regarding Bill Clinton and what Hillary did, knowingly did, to try and silence them, suppress them, and to intimidate them. And then you look at how the mainstream media did not cover that, all right? Then you understand what I say on this program on a regular basis. Please hear me. Please remember this. Campaigns, political campaigns, are war by another means. Okay? In other eras of human history, the change of political power at the local level, the provincial level, the national level, how did those changes of power happen? In dynasties, it was death. King dies, his son takes the throne. But then if you look at, well, first of all, but then the head of that state, if the people didn't want that dynasty, or the palace guard, the Praetorian Guard in the case of Caesar's, I mean, go down the list. I don't have to recount every overthrow in the history of the human race for you to gin up in your, or not gin up, but to recall your lessons from high school or college. It was death. Revolution is how they had change of government. Murder. disappearances, kidnappings, massive theft of property. I had the privilege of being in Rome, and I went to the ruined estate of, I believe his name was Maximilian, but don't quote me on that. It might have been Maxinius. It was the one who fought against Constantine when there was a civil war inside of the Roman Empire, and Constantine prevailed and then decriminalized Christianity, made Christianity legal to practice. When that man was killed in battle, Constantine took his home, a massive villa. The man, his political enemy, Constantine's enemy, had his own circus, okay? Circus in the old Roman sense, the massive track where they would have games and races with the chariots and gladiator spectacles on his own property, okay? Once the man was killed, it was all confiscated. Who knows what happened to his family? There were times, like when the Bolsheviks, when the communists took over Russia, they killed the Tsar, and they killed all his family. They killed all his children. That's the way power was transferred throughout human history. And we don't have that in America right now. We haven't had a revolution in many years, okay? Had a civil war in the 1860s since then. But what has there been in the election process, in the war process? Cheating, lying, exaggeration, misstatement of the facts, withholding of certain other facts. You can say something that's true, but if you withhold other elements, then this becomes out of balance and may become a means of deception just by the withholding of certain facts that were also involved, at play. So I think that the Republican machine, who has been running from Judge Roy Moore for 20 years, they don't care if these allegations are false. They're happy for the false allegations to come out because it gets rid of the embarrassment to them of Judge Roy Moore because of Judge Moore's proven history of fighting for God's laws, for the gospel of Jesus Christ, and for the Christian foundations of this republic. I've got to take a break. I'll be right back. This is a political witch hunt, make no bones about it. Have Muslim terrorists hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam? Or is there more to the story? The answer lies in the life of one man, Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Muslim terrorists see themselves inside a 1,400-year-old story, a narrative that focuses on specific events in the life of Muhammad. We are going to look at Muhammad's life using their most sacred literature. We will look at Muhammad at the Battle of Badr. We'll see him deal with those who mock him. We'll see the times when he used deception. We'll witness Muhammad's anti-Semitism. And yes, we will discuss Muhammad and his teachings concerning sex, slavery, and jihad. Friend, if you want to understand Islamic terrorism, get this series today. After President's trip to the Pacific Rim, and after his continual push of Congress, who has still failed to deliver, his push to them to get tax cuts done, his approval rating as of this morning has jumped to 46%. That's up from a low of 32%. That's a really significant jump. But it hasn't stopped the Muellers and the protagonists, the philosophically insane, the politically deranged, from continuing their efforts to try and destroy his presidency and to paint a narrative that he should be removed from office. I read a story that the Washington Post printed. I read it yesterday or today, and it is about the Drudge Report. It's a story about the Drudge Report. It was the second largest website in the world during the presidential campaign of 2016. Now it's number 3, okay, in the world. And it was a link, it was a story rather, linking the Drudge Report, I'm not kidding, to Russian news sources. The Washington Post is so far out of its mind that it's taking up man hours, salary time, ink space on their printed page and on their website, trying to say that the Drudge Report is a knowing accomplice to a false narrative having come from the Russians in 2016. It's actually funny. Oh, and they're berating them because they put links to Alex Jones and to his outlet for news, InfoWars. Now, what's really funny about this is way at the bottom of the story. The Washington Post acknowledges the Drudge Report put links to the Washington Post, I think like a 2-to-1 margin over the ones that they're complaining about. So that you understand how silly this is, you're like, well, what's the big deal, Randall? The Drudge Report does not report news. They almost never have their own original news. They're an aggregator. They just put headlines. That's all they do. That's all they do. And in this article, the journalist, who is not a journalist, they're a writer, okay, they're a protagonist, they're not a journalist. The writer of the story says that, well, we think that maybe Drudge, it's possible that Drudge puts links to InfoWars on some of the Russian media outlets because he has a bent towards conspiracy theories and the idea that things are going really badly for the Republic. Wait a minute, what did you just say? Did you just say that Matt Drudge thinks that there might be bad conspiracies going on, like hiding Hillary's health problems, or hiding that Hillary used the State Department to launder money, or that the fix was in against Bernie Sanders and that the DNC was co-opted by the Hillary campaign? Are you saying that Drudge believes some of those conspiracy theories that turned out to be true? Are you saying that Matt Drudge thinks that the country's going in the wrong direction while we wade through the blood of 60 million babies, while the debauched, abominable crime against God and man of homosexual marriage is parading in the streets like some Luciferian play or choreography? Are you saying that Matt Drudge is concerned? Is he really like one of those people that cling to God and their Bibles and their guns? This moron and by the way, I use that word loosely because it's probably clinical precision would require me to say this fool in the biblical sense. This fool wants us to think that Matt Drudge is a problem because he believes that there are conspiracies going on and America is headed in the wrong direction. I've got a hot flash for you. There are conspiracies going on, and America is in fact going in the wrong direction. And we have been for years, and there have been conspiracies going on. Some right out in the open, some behind closed doors, and America is literally slouching towards the jaws of hell. We're already in the teeth. We're already in the teeth of the jaws of hell. I mean, how far do we have to go? When do we have to wake up and go, wow, did we really kill 60 million babies? Do we really have homosexual marriage? Do we really have communism of the theft of other people's property? When do we wake up and go, wow, we're not the good guy in the narrative anymore. We've become the bad guy. I'll be right back. What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, "I learned more from What Would Mohammed Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life." Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, "What Would Mohammed Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced." Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Friend, we have a series that will help you and those you love to have an impact on this country. It's called Insurrecta Nex. That's Latin for revolution against the killing of innocent people. This is the history, the philosophy, and the theology of social revolution in America. We look at the Stamp Act, the Boston Tea Party, the abolition of slavery, the abolition of child labor, women's voting rights, the civil rights movement. All of them have this in common: courage, sacrifice, dedication, and in-your-face tactics and rhetoric. That's one of the reasons that we've been losing the culture wars the last 40 years, is because the bad guys are using these tactics and we aren't. We will send you this 14-part TV series along with these manuals for students, a teacher's facilitator guide for only $40. Go to 304-289-3700, 304-289-3700. What is something that we all have in common? Well, there's a lot. One of the things that we all have in common is that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Now, some of us have committed more mortal sins, to use an old theological term. Some of us have committed more heinous sins than others. Okay? That's just a simple fact. It's a mathematical equation. Who has done what? But all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. All are deserving of hell. Never mind shame in this world or prison, or, that's all valid. But hell, okay? Hell. We all deserve hell. So as I'm looking at this witch hunt against Roy Moore, and I look at what Bill and Hillary Clinton have done with almost impunity from the secular press and from the Hollywood elite, here's what occurs to me. A godly person, when they sin, they know it. Their conscience plagues them. The Holy Spirit convicts them. And then we see David, for example, committing the heinous crimes that he did with Bathsheba and with having her husband Uriah the Hittite killed. We see Peter, the first pastor of the church, okay? The one that Jesus said, I'm giving you the keys, Peter. We see him denying Jesus Christ. Church historians say that he had little grooves in his cheeks because he cried so much for so long, for so many years, that there were paths down his cheeks when he would just weep when he remembered his denial of the Lord. So David gave us Psalm 51. It's other Psalms, Psalm 32 regarding repentance and forgiveness. Peter gives us an example that Jesus can take the most flawed person, someone who's committed a horrible sin and betrayal of Jesus himself, and then use him. He said, Peter, do you love me? Feed my sheep. Okay? So we see in David and in Peter, we see redemption. God still uses them. In today's world, all of us have a just desire to have a good reputation. There's many passages in the scripture that condemn the effort to destroy someone's reputation. Okay? That's part of why the ancient Catholic, Orthodox, and Episcopalian world, and even the Lutheran world to some extent, have confession. And when you confess your sin to someone in that situation, they can't talk about it, all right, ever. Because a person does still have the right to maintain a good reputation. But what we see with the Hollywood elite is they're carrying on. Think of the actions of some of these elite. And one director and one actor after another, they're all falling by the wayside because of these things that they've done. But while they were doing them, they had the gall. And while the Clintons are doing this, they have the gall to try and lecture us and tell us how to behave. What's the message? If good people, like David and Peter, who do bad things, if they say, I can't be involved in leadership, I can't be involved in politics anymore, we're going to leave the playing field to people who do things far worse, but they're brazen about it. They're not convicted. They're not sorry. They relish in this evil. And they're using the opportunity to browbeat good people into getting out of the arena because good people have a conscience. Friends, don't fall for that trap. Don't fall into it. Don't fall for it. Because it's satanic in its nature. It's trying to drive all good people who have done bad things out of the arena. I got to go. God bless you.